Asking a tall person to grab something from a tall shelf is seen as a compliment. But asking a short person to pick up something from the ground because they're nearer to it is seen as an insult. Isn't that concerning? If you use a time machine to stop your grandparents from meeting in the past, you might prevent your own birth. But if you were never born, how could you have used the time machine in the first place? Isn't that concerning? If you have a car and you replace all of its parts, is it still the same car? And if you use the old parts to build another car, which one is the original? There is no such thing as nothing. If you say that nothing is black, that is something as well. What is the best advice you can give to people? That's beautiful. Is fish an animal or fish? Isn't that concerning? They say that rain comes from the ocean through evaporation and precipitation. But if that's true, shouldn't the ocean run out because it keeps raining in some parts of the world? Isn't that concerning? If humans are mammals, and some animals are mammals as well, does that mean some humans are animals? If you have a heap of sand and you start removing the sand one grain at a time, when does it stop being a heap? Why is space black when there are so many stars in the universe? Shouldn't space be lit up? Isn't that concerning? There is no reason for the alphabet to be in order. Instead of ABC, it could be ZBX. Why do horrible and horrific mean the same thing, but terrible and terrific are the opposites of each other? This blows and this sucks are both opposite and identical at the same time. Isn't that concerning? Being on thin ice with someone is usually a bad thing, but breaking the ice with someone is seen as a good thing? Isn't that concerning? The more you light your lighter, the lighter your lighter gets until it's too light to light. We don't actually buy water, we rent it. We use it, then return it, and then it's cleaned and sold back to us. Your lap really only exists when you're sitting, because when you stand up, it's your leg again. We pass the anniversary of our death every year without knowing it. Who knows? It could even be today. We've always been told that dinosaurs were killed because an asteroid hit the Earth. But what if the asteroid was a spaceship and we were the aliens? Your dog knows their name, and you know your dog's name, but does your dog know your name? If the moon is responsible for moving the waves in the ocean, then shouldn't the entire Earth be flooded since the moon orbits the planet? It is impossible to start a sentence with the word them. You never really remember the beginning of a dream. How do you know that you're not dreaming right now? Where were you before this? Which one of the following has 4 8 and 1 9? Option A, 8 8 8 9. Option B, 4 8 1 9. Option C, 8 8 8 1 9. And option D, 4 8 9. Option E. Why are cities built next to water and not in the middle of land? They could have avoided so many catastrophes such as tsunamis if the cities were built right in the center of land. But they keep building them right next to water, exposing them to the risk of tsunamis. Isn't that concerning? Why are cities built above land and not underground? So many natural disasters and catastrophes could have been prevented if all cities were built underground. In case of an earthquake, buildings wouldn't collapse because they're underground. How are they going to go underground if they're already underground? Isn't that concerning? If women like women perfume and men like men's perfume, then why do men wear men's perfume to attract women? Isn't that concerning? If we're unable to pay a loan back to the bank, why does the bank have an issue with it? The bank knew when they lent us money that we don't have money. That's the reason we took a loan in the first place. If you owe $100,000 to the bank and you don't have the money to pay it back, technically speaking, you could loan that same amount of money from another bank and pay that bank back. Now you might be thinking, how am I going to pay the second bank back? You loan the $100,000 again from the first bank and give it back to the second bank. Isn't that concerning? You can't smell your booger until you pick it. In fact, you can't smell anything inside your nose. Isn't that concerning? If you think about it, werewolves would be transformed all day long because moonlight is technically sunlight being reflected off of the moon. And if the origin of moonlight is sunlight, then they should transform during the day as well. Technically speaking, vampires should get burnt during the night as well, and not just during the day. Because vampires can't exist in sunlight, but in moonlight, you get the point. Isn't that concerning? When you jump up and down, you don't jump down. When you take a shit, you're not taking a shit. You're leaving it behind. I've never seen someone take a shit out of the toilet and go to work. If a business teacher has full business knowledge, then why don't they have a business of their own? We are closer to 2050 than we are to 2000. In 2 months, the year 2016 will be 9 years ago. Why do we need to keep drinking water if the human body is made of 70% water? Technically speaking, we could just use the water inside our body to stay hydrated. Why do we go to college for 4 years to get a degree when we could just print it? Why wait 4 years to print out a paper when you can just do it at a printing shop? You don't get to choose your name. You have to live the rest of your life with a name that was decided for you. What if I wanted to be named Kangaroo? Did you know that the word gift means poison in German? So if you were in Germany and told someone that you were giving them a gift, they would think that you're giving them poison. We eat mushrooms after they die, but here's the twist. Mushrooms eat us after we die. If you have $7 and I give you another $7, you now have $14. But here's the twist. If you had $13 and I gave you $1, you would also have $14. If you have 1 cup of water and I give you another cup of water, you now have 2 cups of water. But here's the twist. If you had no cups of water in the beginning, and I gave you 2 cups of water, you would have 2 cups of water again. Isn't that concerning?